Hello! Welcome back. I would like to welcome you, all of you, to Beyond the Basement, the complete
Breakdown
podcast.
This is the NPR version. Thanks for joining us.
Here on OPV. Just kidding.
Oh, friends of the show, friends of the foot. Switchfoot man. Welcome back. We're on episode 83. This one is called Pride. It is not what you think it's about if you heard that out of context. If you don't know us, if you're unfamiliar, I'm Eric. Over here we have...
I'm Rachel.
And to this side...
I'm Peter. Welcome.
And our powers combined, we create the squad goals known as Beyond the Basement.
Indeed.
Okay, quick housekeeping item here. If you are not currently subscribed to the YouTube channel, you could be. Mm-hmm. It only takes one button where you just click it and then boom, you're subscribed. So that's cool. Secondly, okay, we've been getting... I feel like our number of emails has gone up.
It's been increasing. It's pretty great.
But that's a good thing. I'm like, emails from you guys is what I mean. It's always interesting. I feel like people's theories and like ideas and stuff like that are good and actually contribute to the show. So, especially if you aren't able to catch us live, if you're just listening on Spotify or whatever, hit us up with an email. It's beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. So we are open to thoughts and ideas. Obviously, no spoilers, please, if at all possible. We don't. There's no like. I wish there was an automated filter that you could just be like delete like a spoiler thing or whatever, but that doesn't exist. So we're going on the honor code here because we actually don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so that said, am I missing anything else before we jump into the recap?
Give us all the stars and the thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. If you are listening on audio and you've been enjoying the show, feel free to go leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Please like us.
It really does actually help the show. It's actually pretty awesome. So let's do something out of the ordinary. Because usually at this point, I'd be like, let's recap. And I would like recap the episode. But I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
You know why?
Because Rachel's going to recap.
Yeah.
Just for funsies, I'm going to give it a
just to mix
shot
it up
today.
Let's hear it, Rach. Give us a summary. Give us a brief summary of what happened.
All right. So we start out with the backstory of how Hange saves Levi. He's not dead. Praise God. I had no hope. Okay.
There's a sweetness in the air tonight.
Seriously.
Levi's
What even
living.
is this episode? It was so crazy. Okay.
Also, he's ripped.
We get to see his shirtlessness. Anyway, also she like stitches him back together like a rag doll, and it's a little disturbing. Mm-hmm. And then he looks like a mummy, and he's sleeping. And while he's sleeping, she's a little depressed, and she's kind of talking to herself about how everything sucks. Levi refuses to die. She talks about how she suspects because he's an Ackerman, he's not dead. Otherwise, he'd probably be dead because, he's been blown up.
We knew it.
Then Eren does his little weird talkie thingy, and that seems to bring Levi out of his sleep. And he tries to get up immediately and go kill Zeke.
But it doesn't mean that he didn't make it. We don't know if he heard him or not. Sorry, we're recapping. Go ahead. My goal is to kill Zeke.
It's okay. He immediately wants to kill Zeke. So then Levi and Hange approach Magath in the cart, and they propose an alliance after Eren starts the rumbling. And we'll get into more details later. Levi still wants to kill Zeke. He just really wants them to know, this is my intention and my life's mission is to murder Zeke.
The one thing that kept him alive.
The only thing that keeps him breathing. Hange thinks Zeke is with the founding Titan. She doesn't even want to call it Eren anymore. It's like Eren has become some other thing to her. And an unlikely alliance is officially formed. Let's see. The rumbling continues. Everybody's miserable. People are crying and the world is shaking, and there's really pissed off people cleaning up rubble in the background the entire time. Jean and Mikasa are very sad. They're just kind of laying there. Armin and Gabi go after Conny. Then we have this scene of Conny in the forest while Falco's sleeping, and he seems to begin to wrestle with his conscience.
Which we knew would happen, by the way.
Yeah.
We all called it. I feel like there are a few who didn't. We were all like, I don't think Conny can go through with this.
So then they arrive at, is it Ragako? Ragako. And Falco knows the name of it, and Connie's like, how do you know that? And then Falco reveals that he's not actually completely stupid, and he has been paying attention, and he's not completely sure what Connie's really up to.
He's one smart Connie.
Then Conny gives us the most disturbing facial expression of his life so far in the show.
Second only to Yelena's.
And he gives up some cockamamie story about, let's brush this Titan's teeth, randomly come up this ladder and hang directly above his mouth, and hands Falco a brush. And then, of course, that's when Armin and Gabi show up. So then he grabs him and goes up the ladder with him at knife point or sword point or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Armin gets really dramatic. He's about to throw himself to his doom.
What a guy.
So then Falco is dropped as Conny rescues his friend. And then
they decide to go save the world.
So then Conny starts to come to his senses, and he's like, let's go save people who are in trouble. Gabi and Falco reunite, and they have a teary
it's cute.
embrace as Falco starts to remember things and remembers sadly that his brother has died. And then we cut to Louise with Mikasa's scarf. We have the mystery solved. She does have the scarf.
I have questions about this scene, by the way, when we get to it.
She's dying. She says she has shrapnel that they couldn't take out of her. Mm-hmm. Mikasa is dead inside in this entire scene. She's just like...
She's been for a while.
She just doesn't care about
Pretty
anything.
much since the table scene.
She was crying at the beginning of the episode, but now she's dead inside. Louise says some cryptic thing about how she got to talk to Eren, even though it wasn't much. You know, she's still like a diehard Jeagerist to the very end, to the bitter end. She says that Eren wanted her to throw out the scarf, but she decided to keep it. Mikasa's like, give me that scarf back. I almost said a bad word right there. Okay, let's move on. Mikasa walks away as she's saying, my life was about following in your footsteps. And Mikasa doesn't give any crap. She does not care. The last Titans begin to leave the island, the last big, gigantic ones anyway. And then we cut to Floch giving a speech. He's full of crap. That's all I have to say about that.
Typical Floch Roach stuff here.
And then we see Jean is also dead inside. And then we have another fun scene where the gang
actually gets back together.
They're like
start to get back
Armin,
together.
Armin, Falco, Gabi, and my brain just went. Conny are stopping to get food, and Falco's like, "Can we really afford this detour?" They sit down to eat pie, and then they start talking about Annie, and then, hey, look who's over here! It's Annie, shoving pie down her throat.
And then we get the second meme face of the episode,
where Connie's laughing his head off, and Annie has like crumbs all over her face, and she looks like a squirrel that's like shoving 75 nuts into its cheeks.
Charlotte said, Annie Pineheart.
Annie Pineheart. And Armin's trying to defend her because he loves her. He's like, she hasn't had a pie in 4 years,
Give
Conny.
Her a break.
Jeez. Oh my god.
Then we get to the Floch Roach speech.
Wait. But then, I have to say my joke. Hitch gets ditched.
Oh.
That's sad, though.
They take off.
It's probably for a good reason in the end. I'm assuming it is.
Annie leaves her a note. So apparently Annie isn't dead inside now that Jean and Mikasa are. So that's a weird universe we live in. Mm-hmm. Floch is still full of crap. We go back to Floch. Then Anyokopon is about to die and gives the speech of a lifetime. And then Jean shoots the ground 4 times.
What?
And then the cart titan shows up and eats him.
They were eaten. This show is full of people doing like ruse.
Yes, it's
things.
true. Anyokopon disappears, so does Yelena, and then Floch wants to send Mikasa after Cart, but where is she? Where is Mikasa? So then we see that Mikasa and Armin and the rest of them are in wagons and they're fleeing the city, and we see a mysterious shadow in a window. Annie's with them. She senses someone is watching. She turns around. We see someone in the shadows. We think we know who it is. We'll get to that later. Floch is still alive. All the cursing emojis. I'm so sad. Jean throws up, and then Cart and Hange exchange witty banter, and then Jean and Anyokopon have a heart-to-heart. Cart and Magath want Yelena alive for some mysterious reason. Magath gives her the stink eye of all time. The band is back together to save the world, and that's it.
Well, they get Reiner. Reiner's there, yeah. Kick him awake. Annie is like kicks him awake.
Oh, I skipped that note, yeah. As Levi is a fan of kicking people in the face, so is Annie, it seems, so she decides to kick him awake.
Typical Annie. Honestly, their whole relationship has been basically...
She just beats the hell out of him all the time.
Semi-abusing him some physical way or another.
And he just takes it like a man. He's just like, this is my relationship with her. She punches me in the face. I save her. She punches me some more.
All right, so let's jump back to this first scene here, because like you said, Levi's alive. That in and of itself is like a breath of fresh air. Now we kind of knew
he's a mummy, but he's alive.
As soon as Hange like stole his body or said, "Oh, he's dead," but they couldn't check the pulse, and then she like jumped into the water. I was like, okay, he's gonna survive. I don't know what good he's gonna be after this, but he's at least not dead.
It's confirmed he's missing at least 2 of his 10 fingers.
Oh,
his sword fingers.
Yeah,
he's missing those.
His like I'm a freaking bad A fingers.
Yeah,
but I guarantee you. His
wasties are gone.
It could never micro again.
We haven't seen his legs. He's not standing. I'm wondering. We saw him try to sit up, but he hasn't tried to stand up. So I'm wondering, like, do his legs work? Is he paralyzed? We don't really know.
I don't know.
Even
Levi in a wheelchair. Can we handle that? I don't know.
Banged
if
up
we
Levi
can.
over just about anybody else. He'll find a way.
Yeah. It's kind of like
he's determined to kill
with a
Zeke
crutch,
no matter what.
Yeah.
He's like, I will kill that guy.
It's like, hey, you can have this old quarterback on your team who was like a star, like a freaking. So you can have Brett Favre, or you can have like a college player. You'd be like, give me the guy who I know is like one of the greats, even if he's freaking not himself anymore.
I just would like to say to the universe in general, I would like someone with that level of commitment who wants to kill Floch.
Anyone. I would take
literally
anyone.
Like anybody with Levi commitment level to kill Zeke to kill Floch.
And
because that guy needs to die.
It could have happened so many times.
Seriously, why?
Okay, can we just do a quick flashback to season 2 where they're on the wall and Eren is talking to Reiner and to Bertolt and they're like all supposed to be leaving. But Reiner's like spilling the beans about how he's the armor titan.
Yeah.
It's this really awkward moment. You're like, what the heck? I can't believe this is happening right now. And they're all casual about it.
Yeah.
Okay, right as it's happening, Mikasa actually cues in, actually figures out what's going on.
Yeah.
And freaking rushes in there with her swords and nearly takes both their heads off. Floch ain't a titan. If you did that to him, he wouldn't transform and survive. He would just be dead, and you'd be doing the world a favor.
Please. She's
had the chance multiple times. Jean, I thought the scene with Jean with the pistols, I thought, okay,
he's gonna pull a Yelena and
dies,
just be like,
so does freaking Floch right here, and Jean just like takes the hit. So I mean, I guess their plan may have been better.
Isayama really does want to hurt me, doesn't he?
Yeah, I have
by not killing Floch.
I have some
that
more
would
theories.
hurt me. If Floch is still alive at the end of all this, I will cry.
My soul,
bitter tears.
Yeah, I have some more theories about this, but we got to get there.
Okay.
So
let's get to Hange. She said she shoots somebody. She shoots this is actually pretty clever like stuff. This is like wartime like hunter assassin sniper stuff where you like shoot to wound. You guys remember in Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
The dude's like hurt or whatever and like, no, don't go out there after. It happens in Band of Brothers as well, where they like somebody gets shot and they're wounded and they actually are wounded in the open and intentionally not dead so that people hear their cries and go to save them.
They're like a decoy kind of.
So Hange is like as smart and as wonderful and great as she is, she's also like a war, like a instrument of war and has like tortured people. And so for her to like pull this kind of trick is not like, what I'm saying is it seems like a small detail, but it's actually, I feel like Isayama puts a lot of thought into each character, like staying within their like who and what they are. And Hange is so interesting for so many reasons.
Strategist.
She's a strategist, but she's like also like a gritty, like she'll get the freaking job done.
And she cries. She cries as she does it because she doesn't want to do it, but she knows she has to do what she has to do. And that makes her a freaking hero.
Yeah.
It's not the hero that shuts out all their emotions and becomes a machine and becomes a monster like Armin was saying. Mm-hmm. It's the hero that goes, no, I don't want to do this. I'm still viewing this objectively and I'm going to feel emotions about it, but I'm still going to do what has to get done in order to continue forward. And so I think that Hange is like apex good, you know?
Yes. Yeah, and well, she's somebody to like look up to, and I think we probably talked about this in the last podcast as well, but another thing I always love about this show is like you get the characters they for such a fictional show, they feel very realistic in so many ways, in part because they're all capable of doing both good and bad things, just like real humans. Like there's no such thing as like a good human and a bad human. It's never that black and white. We're all capable of evil and we're all capable of good, and I just love that you like, get a little bit of that. And like Hange has her flashback later on this episode of like, oh, like I tortured somebody, like I've done wrong things too, but like in fact I think it's like her, Conny, Armin, all of them in this episode have these like harkening back to the old days, and they kind of feel bad about the bad things that they've done. Like they want redemption, which is a good motivation, I think.
Yeah, I mean that remorse is something that proves that you still care.
Yeah,
that you're willing to change.
Okay, so she tells Levi you survive for the same reason. Okay, she says everyone else was a Titan except for you. Only you survived. And I think it's for the same reason that you're not dead yet. It's because you're an Ackerman. So there's a handful of mysteries in this show that are still left over that are long running. The Ackerman thing.
The Ackermans and the Tybers.
The Tybers.
The blonde-haired tall people.
We just don't freaking know yet.
Yeah.
And the Ackerman thing we discovered, is it season 1? When do they talk about it? Is it season 2, season 1? I feel like it's like early.
So Kenny talks about it with his grandpa.
So that's season 3. Okay.
And we get a little bit more. We only get like bits and pieces of something that seems pretty vital to the show.
Yeah.
About a power awakening inside of them.
Yeah. Right, because Mikasa's power awakening and all, that whole deal. Yeah. I just don't know. Like, it's just not super clear. But yeah, first half of season 3 is where we start to really dig into the Ackerman thing a little bit more. We'd kind of known about it before, but it's still no one's just straight up said like, oh, well, they're this bloodline and the reason they serve the king, or don't we don't know if Eren was telling the truth about they serve the king. It just isn't clear. Nonetheless, he's not dead because he's an Ackerman. The question here is, we were talking about this, so we.
Oh yeah, look, Nate's got the same question we do. So Nate says. Hanji seems to be implying that Levi consumed some of Zeke's spinal fluid.
That's what we thought.
But wasn't transformed because of his Ackerman genes.
But he said he didn't drink it.
That's not how I interpreted it. I interpreted it as the reason you survived the explosion.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it.
Is because you're
well.
an Ackerman.
Yeah.
He didn't drink the wine.
That's what I say. He didn't drink the wine, but she seems to think that he did. The way she says it.
Yeah, I don't know.
She says all of them turned into Titans, or everyone else turned into Titans, and only you survived.
Yeah, I think the reason that anybody else in that situation would have been dead by those Titans, but Levi killed them all and jacked up Zeke because he's an Ackerman.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
That's the way I took it.
Same. That's the same way I took it also.
Yeah. Okay, but what I'm saying is the question still stands. Are Ackermans, like, we assume he's half Eldian. Is he Eldian enough to transform?
I mean, he went into the paths.
Levi did?
Yeah. He was.
No.
Yes.
That's what woke him up.
Yes. Him and Hanji. Boom, went.
Mikasa was in
it doesn't show him there.
It does.
It only shows Hanji.
You know, for a split second, it shows him laying on the ground.
They're both in the paths.
Focuses on Hanji's face for a second.
So then that would confirm.
And that's what he sits up and he goes, where the heck is that beast? Like, he saw Eren.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's not looking for the Eren. He's looking for, he says Zeke specifically. Where is the beast?
That's because he's obsessed.
He doesn't say anything about Eren. Okay, but so then I guess that would make sense because we did see, so Mikasa 100%, we saw her in the paths.
Yes.
So we know she's half Eldian. So she's Ackerman, but she's half Eldian, so she's enough. All right.
We totally see him laying down.
We've confirmed that Ackermans are Eldians.
Yes.
And
specifically the two we know.
The reason that they're Eldians is because they had their DNA changed by the founder to become superhuman somehow. Originally to protect the founder. But then they also have some immunity to the founder's powers. Their memories don't get wiped the same way everybody else's do.
For some reason, which maybe they're half royal. That's what I suspect.
Or maybe they got some Attack Titan power. Maybe they came from the Attack Titans or something.
I also, just pointing out again, that the only half of Mikasa that could possibly be Eldian is her Ackerman half. Because the other half of her is Asian.
Is Asian.
So that Levi is Eldian.
You're right.
We talked about this 10,000 times.
No, but I never put
Ackermans are Eldians.
You didn't put that puzzle piece
that
together.
Specific, the fact that like the Asian is not Eldian or Ackerman.
Yeah. The Asian half of her.
Interesting. Okay.
Mom.
All right. All right, I'm with you. Okay, so she also doesn't realize that Pixis is dead, which is kind of sad. She's like, what do we do now?
She mentions Armin, and yeah. Meanwhile,
Sorry,
Armin is super doubting everything about him. Like, he doesn't value himself anymore. He thinks that he should have been the one to die that day.
Dang, this is a good point, though. Royal blood can still have their memories wiped. We see Freyda do it to Historia.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So it's not just royal. There's something else going on with the Ackermans.
Interesting.
Why would the king build in like a defense?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the king changed. I don't think the king did it. I think there's something else to the story as to how Ackermans came about in the first place.
The Ackerman line comes through one of the 3 sisters. That's not the same sister that the current royal line comes from, because there's 3.
Wait, what are the 2 royal lines again? You have the Fritzes and is it Fritz and Rice?
The Rice.
Yeah, but I thought they just changed their name.
The Rice was just a changed name.
So really it's just Fritz.
So as far as I know, it's just the Fritz. And then we have the Tybers, which we don't know if they're actually royal or not. But
we don't.
A spinoff maybe or something.
Tiber and
they're
Ackerman.
A ruling class in Marley anyway.
You do have to wonder if the Fritz, Tiber, and Ackerman, maybe those are the 3 bloodlines that are all LDN that are all from the...
That's what I'm wondering.
Interesting.
So Rose and Cena and Maria are all
I don't know.
one of those 3 families.
Strongly theorizing here right now. It's like kind of hard to say. So, all right. So I want to get to her kind of like thoughts right here, Hanji's thoughts. She says something else really interesting. Even if Eren does betray Zeke, the Jeagerist could rule with the spinal fluid will be fugitives for life. I don't actually know what she means by that either.
She means that everybody who drank the wine is still going to be imprisoned, and they're going to be able to hold everybody hostage, threatening everybody to be turned into
pure Titans.
A pure Titan.
Yeah.
She doesn't know it's already happened.
Yeah.
So apparently that means that once you come in contact with that spinal fluid, there is no... It doesn't
but I thought
wear
only
off.
Zeke's shout could do it, and if Zeke is not on his side, I don't know. Maybe it's not important.
It's just weird, this idea, though, that it never wears off.
Yeah. That's crazy, because when you drink something, it doesn't stay with you forever.
It metabolizes and you pee it out eventually, so what the heck?
So, all right, so Hanji says the sad line. My turn has come, even if I thought, I was doing the right thing. And she has that flashback to her, like, torturing what's-his-face in the first person.
And
I
he's
missed
like,
that.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, I was writing
He's
a note.
the bandage face or whatever.
Yeah.
So she says time and
Sonus?
time really changes things when you're in a cell, when you're the one in the cell, right? Because she spends some, like, it's just interesting because she's basically saying, like, yeah, the tables have turned on me, like, multiple times. And, like, again, speaking to the fact that, like, you go through all of these things and it does change you. You just are not the same kind of person. She's like, maybe we just live here for forever. So that's the moment where she sees the paths and Eren doing the whole thing or whatever. And this is where he wakes up. And Levi's like, yeah, where'd he go? She explains to him it's been half a day since the Jeagerist and all them went to Shiganshina. And Levi correctly makes one of the most, like, interesting... I have so much to say about this. He says about Zeke, He says Zeke was prepared to die and I didn't see it. He got away again.
I botched it.
He got away again.
As he stares at his missing fingers.
Yeah, he holds up his missing fingers. Like, he lost to Zeke yet again. Now, here's the thing. Is the first time he takes on Zeke...
He hasn't lost to Zeke anytime. Zeke's just gotten away
exactly. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, he's never lost.
Because Pieck rescues him. He had no play left, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then he blew himself up, thinking he was probably going to die.
Which is basically the same as Pieck rescuing him. It's like the same level.
He had no play left, had his back to the wall,
That's
and
like
was willing
when
to die.
when the fox chews its own leg off to get out of the trap. Like,
yes. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about, because Zeke is this, like, deep character. Like, Zeke's not done. We aren't seeing him in the show right now, but we know there's more left to him. Okay, so Zeke is willing to, quote, die for the cause. And he's like, Cassava, like, witness me. Mad Max reference for those of you who haven't seen it, go watch it right now. But he's willing to die for the cause. And the thing is that Levi's mistake isn't a combat mistake. It's not a tactical mistake necessarily either. It is a mistake of judging his enemy and what his enemy is. How his enemy thinks. Okay, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's so interesting as far as war is concerned, as far as combat is concerned. People, like, figuring out tactics is just and well. Figuring out how to be good with a gun or a sword, great idea. Formations on the battlefield, air warfare, all of that stuff is really stinking important. There's no question about it. However, the great warriors in history, the great generals, I should say, in history, who waged war most effectively, they did it with all of those things in place. Okay, you got to have the fundamentals there, but they did it with something more. They did it with a deep understanding of who and what their enemy was, and more specifically, what motivated them. Okay?
Know thy enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Know thy enemy.
Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Exactly. No, but there's such a deep point there. And, like, I know it's just one random little line, but the fight between Zeke and Levi is this, like, long, epic thing. And it comes to this head, and it comes to the head with Levi actually not understanding. He didn't fully grasp who Zeke was, what he was like, what he was willing to do, why, what was motivating him. He just didn't see it. And so that's how Zeke got the better of him. And he was able to blow himself up. He was literally willing to die for the cause.
Yeah, he underestimated his enemy's resolve.
If you are, if you capture a prisoner of war and you go to, like, torture them, like, oh, if we cause enough pain, they'll spill the beans. Okay, we've already seen that in the show. A true believer won't talk, right? Remember Pastor Nick or whatever? Like,
yeah, that's true. He was ready to die. They were holding him over the wall, and he was like, "Drop me, go ahead. I'm not going to betray my cause."
If somebody is ready to die for what they believe in, the torturing thing doesn't work. And so you have to understand like what motivates somebody, what motivates your opponent, what they're like actually on the inside, in order to best understand how to actually beat them, not just on the battlefield, but beat them like at large. And so like there's this whole thing like. There's a really good, it's funny because it's actually super relevant like right this second, but there's actually a really good podcast on the Cold War and how like one of the big problems with the Cold War is that like the reason it went on the way that it did is because the West simply, like your average person in the West, including, you know, leader or scholar or whoever, simply could not understand. We just didn't have the like openness of like thought to be able to get in the mind of a devout communist. Like it just couldn't happen.
Right.
And you just, when you don't see it that way, you're like, I don't understand. Like, how, you know, surely, what if we just gave them like jobs? Or what if they just gave them money? What if they could also have vacations on cruises? Like, then they wouldn't be, you know, then they wouldn't be so mad and be upset at us all the time. Like, it doesn't work like that. My point is to say, like, humans are really complex. Like, inside of all of us is like deep search for meaning, and we want to have like a purpose. And generally, when somebody finds that like deep, like purpose and like commitment or whatever, especially the radicals, like it can drive you to go way beyond what people would assume about you. Like there's this thing. So I wish I could like link it or find it again. Speaking of communists, but there's like this incredible. It's a letter.
Yeah.
It's a famous letter written from a communist to his fiance, and he's actually breaking up the marriage. He's actually breaking off the marriage. There's a couple of these. This is the one I'm thinking of is one specifically where he's breaking off his engagement, and he's explaining to her why. And his reasons are because he's such a devoted communist, and he explains it with this like it's incredible passion. And you read that and you're like, that sounds insane, except for this is clearly not an insane person. This is somebody who simply has
he's
like
rationally thinking it through.
Yeah, he just has that deep kind of like seated like feeling and emotion. And so with Zeke has that thing in him, that crazy like streak or whatever, that like devoted streak, and it's directly tied to his childhood, to Cassava, this like man he saw as like a father. Like it's all tied into that stuff, and that is what could drive him to be such a powerful enemy the whole time. Yeah. Like Zeke was so clever and so like held his cards close to the vest because he had this like insane motivation. So they're all okay. All right, so
Yelena's the same way.
Yelena, perhaps, yeah, no, I agree. So my long rant is to come to this point, which is that his Communist Manifesto motivations all got shattered when he went into the past with Eren.
Because Cassava wasn't really his dad.
Cassava wasn't who he thought he was. But that's not the side point. The real point is his actual dad isn't who he thought he was.
Yeah,
and now that was shattered.
That was the basis of his
like central motivation got freaking shook, and so who knows?
Which is what? Okay, so I wish that would have happened the first time he would have went to the past when he got blown up. Because when he's like reborn, he's like a different person, but he had the same motivation.
Yes.
But then he gets reborn again. First he's reborn physically, right? And he's like shiny and it's like rainbows or whatever.
Right.
But that's the precursor to the real transformation. The real transformation is the internal transformation of Zeke. So who is Zeke after this?
We don't know.
We don't even know.
We don't
even know. And
we don't even know really where he is right now.
He's with Eren.
Is he in Eren's mouth? Is he gum? Is he just like?
No, I think he's in the cage for the first time.
He's in the cage now?
Yeah. The letter I thought you were referencing was that correspondence sent from the communist like specialist.
That one's in the podcast. Yeah.
He sends it back to America and he goes like, "You guys are idiots. They can't be negotiated with. They don't want better jobs.
They don't want Disneyland in Russia. They don't care about that.
The only way, like they don't respect diplomacy. They respect only force.
Might.
Only might.
Power, yeah.
They're the Klingon Empire.
He literally says the only way to respond is a massive
like offensive, essentially.
Offensive is the only way to respond, and then they'll negotiate with you.
He wrote the letter in like 47 or something like that, like way early, like super duper early in the Cold War, and people were like, I don't know, whatever.
Nobody read it, and then afterwards we were like, dang, this guy was a prophet.
He
like,
freaking knew what was
spot on. And so just going back to your point, to know thy enemy, to truly know their motivations, and to be able to speak to that, because if you think you know and you're wrong, you won't anticipate the moves they're about to make.
You can't assume that they are like you.
Exactly.
That's the mistake we make, is that their motivations are like my motivations, just in the opposite direction. It doesn't work like that. People are way more complex than that.
In Ender's Game, he says to truly like know your opponent is to like basically like become them and to love them in a way, to like understand
To
them
love
so
your enemy?
deeply.
What?
Yeah,
I
you know
know.
them better than their own mother.
You know them better than they even know themselves, and so you know exactly what they're going to do, and that's how you can beat them, right?
Yeah.
On the flip side, in this show, we have something else going on that's kind of the exact opposite of that, where you have Gabi and Falco thinking, these people are nothing like me, and they're my enemy, and then they discover
It's the
that in
reverse.
fact
Yeah.
they're just like me.
They're not your enemy at all.
These are people just like me.
Yeah,
They're
their
not
motivations
devils.
are actually the same
they're
as yours.
human, and they do love all the same things I love, and they're not my enemy. And the person who's been telling me that they're my enemy is actually nothing like me, and actually is my enemy.
No,
which
it's
is
exactly
like-
right.
Just such a mind trip.
There's a famous Abraham Lincoln quote. I'm kind of butchering it a little bit, but it's basically like, there's a man I don't like very much. I need to get to know him better. And like, that's the line. And it's like, if you understood people a little bit better, you might not hate him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. Yeah. So he points out they point out the fact that like, if we run and hide, like what will be left? And he's like, "There's no way in hell you're staying out of the action, Hange. Like you're gonna be back in this thing." And it's exactly like she's talking like, "Oh, I might give up." Like, no, you're not.
She was depressed for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But that sentiment is true.
And that
Like,
brought him out of his coma.
every single time, we were just talking about this in Lord of the Rings, like the central hero in Lord of the Rings is Samwise Gamgee. Even though Frodo is also a main point, Aragorn, like you have all these great character arcs, but it's like it's Sam. It's about Sam and Frodo, and about their journey to the ring, and about their journey growing up, and about what they're willing to sacrifice to save the world. And it, partly is just a great story, but also partly it speaks to what Tolkien went through in the war, and how a very small population, a very small percentage of the population, is going to change the fates of everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, it's Sam and Frodo literally saving the world, right?
Yeah.
Everyone does their part, but Sam and Frodo are the ones that are responsible for it. And the allies in World War I are this very small fraction, right? We said it's probably like less than like 2% of the population of England, and 2% of this and that, whatever. But altogether, those people help save the world.
Yeah.
And so it's the sacrifice of the very little saves the fates of the large, right? And so figuring out, like Levi says, what will be left if we just run? If those little don't stand up in the face of evil, if those two, Samwise and Frodo decide, no, we're not going to do this, right? If the allies don't stand up, if the people never stand up in the face of tyranny and oppression, and they just go try to hide like everybody else, nothing's going to be left.
Yeah.
So there has to come a point where, just like Keith Sadie says, like, no, I'm too old to go freaking crap out in the woods. I'm going to stand up. Levi's he's cut from the same cloth. He's like, no, we have to stand up and do something. Do something they do.
I love it. Freaking grizzled like warriors with determination is so like hard to come by in the States these days. Anyway, all right. So moving on here, we get to the scene with Magath and Pieck, and he's just, I love how they started, because it's just Levi's voice going, "My goal is to kill Zeke." Like the first line.
I like it too, because
I would like to kill Zeke. Want to help? Like,
yeah.
hello, my name is Levi. You killed everyone else.
You killed my people. I want to kill Zeke. Want to join
prepare
me?
to die. What's interesting is he's not playing diplomat. He's not
No,
like, hey,
not at all.
we've both got some goals. What do you?
Let's be friends.
What are you guys bringing to the table? He's like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kill Zeke. What are you guys okay with that?
What are you guys gonna bring to the table?
He says the line that we actually said. All right, so I have to toot our horn every time we get a chance to, but we freaking called this. The end of last episode, if you listen to the prediction section, I was like, listen, I'm pretty sure we were doing the math on how many Titans are not in Eren's hands. So Eren has like technically 4, but at least 5 Titans, and they're actually all on the island right now. And like the theory was like, dude, I was like, if their interests are actually kind of all like aligned right here, so I think that they maybe all find a way to get in touch with each other and like get together, and like that's what forms like the new like group of like heroes essentially to try and like stop all the madness. We nailed it. For the record, we got it. So this is the beginning of that. This like unlikely like alliance. And he actually just comes out and says, he's like, it seems our interests are aligned. And they are. They actually are. And it's just really curious. Remember, if you listen to the show, first half of season 4, we spent a lot of time, at least I spent a lot of time going, why are we talking so much about Magath? He's really interesting. I kind of like this guy, and he's kind of the bad guy, but like he's kind of, I just
he's like a bad guy that you can't bring yourself to hate.
Yeah.
Or at least I couldn't.
He was like, he seemed to be on, quote, the wrong side, but I just never was like, nah, I don't like him. I was like, he's like
He's
a Darth Vader. Like, he's a bad guy that is kind of cool, you know? Like,
yeah. I respect him, even though he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
But maybe he's not.
But maybe he's not. So it's just interesting that he's like back in the picture, and I just hope that he like plays a more major role. So they kind of like, he gives a great line. He's like, you know, you can obviously, you know, stand and fight with one of the 9, but can you dodge a bullet in that condition? And Levi says the most manly thing he's ever said. I can't. I came to see you in this sad state. Whether or not to shoot is up to you. He came to make a freaking deal.
He's putting it all on the line.
This is when he goes all in. When he takes all his chips and he's like,
you can shoot me right now.
I don't have much. This is all I have left anyway.
Here
so
are all of my
you can
eggs.
trust me.
I am putting them in your basket.
But look at this. Okay, remember what Armin says about Annie in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
She was willing to die.
Mm-hmm.
She was willing to go in, put it all on the line, and die in that forest. Like she was willing to become like the monster, basically, to like do her will. And underestimating that is a problem, because like everyone's fighting with reserves, and they're like, no, you can't fight with reserves. You have to fight as if your life is on the line
to the death.
And that's what Erwin does, right? Erwin's like, no, arms got blown off. Let's freaking go. Like I'll still charge out onto the battlefield, because every fight is about our life, our humanity survival. Okay, here at the very end, Levi makes a fatal mistake, and he goes, I underestimated the fact that Zeke was willing to lay his life down. He was willing to freaking die to see his ideals come to pass, right? Now here's Levi learning from Zeke, his enemy. He goes, I'm willing to die. You shoot me right now if you want to, but I'm willing to die to see my ideals come to pass. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say, you can shoot me if you want to, but all my chips are on the table. I cannot fight back right now. But here's what we have to do.
Yeah. So
let's go, Levi.
Much debate is had about the next question, because then Magath's like, all right, great plan. Where's Zeke? Like, good freaking question. Okay, the going wisdom is that he was scooped up by Eren.
I still think he's like little beastie gum.
It could
in the founders.
Somebody had a good
Someone
comment.
said something about him being fused.
Because with
Eren,
Levi was holding Eren's head, and Eren's head like came out of it.
You mean?
Sorry, Zeke. Zeke was holding Eren's head.
Yeah.
And his spine came out of the head.
I was saying too earlier downstairs, like maybe he just absorbed him.
Yeah, but someone was saying like, did they fuse together because the face look more like a beast? I want to see. I
still haven't seen enough of him.
I want to see more of him, even though I don't want to see more of him because he's kind of gross. But I want to see, like, does it look like Zeke? Is it got? I don't know. Did he take his bending away?
Did he take his bending away?
So
yeah, I was wondering that too. Like, did they fuse together, kind of like that weird Titan thing that happened, when Zeke almost killed himself with the Thunder Spear, and that Titan came out of the woods and opened itself up and stuck him inside, and then he just consumed it. Mm-hmm. Is Eren doing that with him now?
Like consuming Zeke's power or something?
Is he somehow absorbing him?
Well, I would just like to know where Zeke's consciousness is, because it seems like your consciousness is in the past. Exactly. Is he stuck in the past and he just doesn't know what's happening?
And his body has just been absorbed into the founding Titan.
Because apparently you can spend hundreds of, apparently like a couple of seconds here is like hundreds of years in the past. So it's been several days. So is
where
he like
are
millennia
they? Are
old?
they insane? Like, what's happening?
So, all right, Hange, they kind of carry on. Hange basically says, listen, he's probably being held by Eren to use his royal blood. And she goes, no, I mean the founding Titan. Like, she won't even call him Eren anymore.
She won't call him Eren anymore.
Which maybe she's right.
Which, if we didn't know more about Eren at this point, this would tickle that same theory that we had. It's like, no, it's Eren being controlled by the founder, and he's,
Yeah, Eren,
okay.
Eren has been consumed by the founding Titan.
Is this a good time to talk about our deeper questions about the founder, or should we kind of go to the end on that?
We got to get a little further in,
Okay,
I feel
all right. So, Hange, so they credit Hange here. Pieck's like, oh, wow, Hange, like the person who the expert on Titans
Hange,
knows more than even Marley.
Yeah.
Like, kind of true.
Well, she is a scientist.
She says that the founding Titan is so humongous that there's basically nothing that can be done. She says, and this is where like, okay, they say we have to put our powers together. They have a Power Rangers moment. It's
Planet.
It's morphin' time. Captain Planet. Put your rings in. Like, you get a few of those in this episode. Like, let's go, squad. Let's go. Freaking love it. Okay.
Apparently, I have a bruise right there.
Yeah, the rumbling. This next scene is interesting because they don't really say anything. It's just the nighttime, which my theory was wrong about them moving at night. Sorry.
They can still move in the moonlight.
Sorry to disappoint, but
which
apparently
Hange did explain way back when some move in the moonlight.
Plus, they're being controlled by Eren, which means that they don't.
Indeed.
Their power
They don't
source
follow the
is
normal
right there.
rules. So the rumbling is happening, and it's like shaking everything, and it's showing people trying to sleep, but like the rumbling is still going on. It's like Jean. I think they show Jean. They show Mikasa. They show Hitch, Annie, Reiner. Like everybody's trying to like sleep. Like,
shut up! I'm trying to get some shut up.
Meanwhile, there's just an earthquake going on for actual days at a time. What the heck? And Mikasa's just crying. Poor Mikasa.
Poor Mikasa. Mikasa. Okay, so now we get to the good stuff. Now we get to Connie's got young Falco. They're out there like camping, and he's trying to strategize like how do I get this kid in my mom's mouth? And I started to wonder here if like
that's such a weird thing to ask yourself.
Is the mom, even as a Titan, gonna kind of be like, no? Like, is it gonna like resist? And
Yeah.
not even.
I was kind of hoping that she would say, "Don't do it, Connie.
Well,
Don't
she
sacrifice your
can't
soul."
full on sentence, but she can kind of make a few.
Well, they had her covered with a tent, so she's pretty low on energy.
Oh, good point.
And she can't move. So now there's both of those things happening. Poor thing.
Okay, so blah, blah, blah. What am I trying to get to here? The part I want to talk about is he says this line. He's like, I can't afford to fail. And he looks over and he's like, this innocent kid. He hasn't even whined. And we've been camping this whole time. And he has all these reasons to doubt me. But he trusts me. Like, he sees his virtue. Like, they've portrayed Falco as this, like, virtuous character the whole time. And he has this sort of young, like, innocence to him that actually, like, makes it work. And holy smokes. Like, it's so part of who he is, even here, and even Connie, as he's trying to like deceive this kid and feed him to his mom, sees it and that's what gives him the doubts. Is he's like, he doesn't say it, but
this
he's
kid
like,
completely trusts me, and I'm gonna feed him to my mom.
And then he's like,
doubting.
I'm a terrible person.
And then he says, Sasha, would you understand? And we're all like, freaking no.
No, she would punch you directly in the throat, you punk.
Sasha were here, none of this would have happened, you frickers. Freaking Gabi. I still like her, but anyway. Okay, so
She'll never live that
Where's
down.
your Gabi gang now?
We're always going to be a little salty about that.
So they pull into the village, and he's like, I thought we were going to the hospital. He's like, I just wanted to show you something over here first. And then he actually says, this is Ragako Village. How the F do you know that? And he's like, yeah, well, I heard you talking to yourself. And I was like,
was Falco pretending to be asleep?
listen, when you're planning to do something,
Don't say your plans out loud.
Monologuing. Stop telling everybody exactly what the plan is.
Okay, the weird thing is, though, a lot of Connie's dialogue was internal. He didn't say too much out loud. So I was like, when did he hear him say that?
He said enough. He said enough. Like, some people are really good at, like, some people like Zeke. You ever notice Zeke?
I still think it's
doesn't
because
tell
he's the
everybody
jaw
his
type.
plans and can, like, pull them off.
Yeah.
Anyway, Connie's not good at being evil.
Sink ships.
Indeed. He's not good at being freaking the bad guy. So he's like, I heard you talking to yourself. Like, this is, where Sasha is from, and Gabi shot your friend, and, you pulled me here this whole time knowing who I was, but pretending not to. Like, are you doing this to get revenge? But I love this because he's so fast to put it all together. Like, Falco's actually pretty smart. He like ding 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 ding. He's like, oh, does this mean this mean this mean this? Like, yes,
but he's wrong. He's not trying to get revenge on Falco specifically. He would have fed anybody. I feel like to anybody who wasn't like his close companion.
Yeah, whoever had the power.
Yeah.
His reply though, he's just like, well, that kind of stuff only happens in the heat of battle. What?
Well, he's saying that like, no, like I was forgiven because
people get killed all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what he's on about. And
he kind of disarms him by like walking past him and not like trying to grab him like, you little punk, you're gonna get in here,
Yeah.
But he goes and grabs some big brushes. He's like, oh yeah, I brought here to show you something.
Brush his teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, mean face.
Look at this Titan. This is a natural Titan observing zone. You don't get to see
Haven't
something
you
like
always
this.
secretly wanted to brush the teeth of a massive zombie that could eat you?
Come on.
Sounds like a good time to me.
25 cents a pop. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, it's a freaking carnival.
Titan attraction.
At Titan World, we take great care of our Titans.
It's like Jurassic Park, but with Titans.
Oh, Lord. Oh,
Things
no.
still can eat you.
That's right.
Nature finds a way.
That's right.
Okay, so he pulls him up there. They're on the ladder, and of course, Gabi and Armin rush in. They're like, he's gonna feed you to the Titan. And, like, they give away the whole game, which good. I love when people in the show do exactly what the exact right thing is, which is tell him exactly what's going on the second you see him. Like, don't wait. Like, what I was thinking is they're going to rush in and be like, oh, no, you're in danger. And then, like, oh, he's going to put him like, no, don't do it. And, like, do what? Like, tell him right away that he's going to
feed you to his Titan mom.
I was kind of like,
actually do it.
Hey, wait, Conny, I got some gum for you, you know? And he'd be like, oh, thanks. And he'd walk over there, get him with a sword, you know, or something.
Oh, man. This whole scene, I actually wasn't sure where it was going to go until it actually ended. Because Armin goes, Gabi, please forgive Conny.
Yeah.
And then, like, takes off, and I'm like,
he's gonna kill Conny? Is he gonna kill his mom?
I thought he was gonna kill Connie's mom at first, and then
I thought he was gonna go for Conny. I thought he was gonna put a sword like right through Falco, knowing that he has the Titan power, he'd recover, and he was just gonna have to like knife Conny and just get it over with. I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna be good. This could be a sad way to go out if it really is how it happens.
But of course, none of those things would have been very Armin-like.
No.
And what he ends up doing is very Armin-like.
It's actually very Levi.
And it's also very Erwin-like too.
Well, yeah, when he says that line to Gabi, he has that flashback to Erwin. He actually sees him, and he's like, he was willing to lay his life down. Like, he wasn't pretending to lay his life down. He was actually willing to do it, and I have to be actually willing to do it. So
and then Connie's like, "What are you doing?" And he's crying. Harmon's like crying a little bit, and he's like, "You told me not to talk."
That's the best line. He's like, "You told me not to talk." But then he says the next best line, which is, "So I'll let my actions speak for me." Mm-hmm. And he goes to chuck himself into the mouth. Like,
that's what a leader does. A leader leads by action.
He turns himself into a peanut M&M.
You know when you're like, so this has probably been other times in this show, but like they do this in movies where it's like, I'm trying to do this thing to like bait out, like they do it in like the shows my wife watches. So like Psych or these like murder mystery, crime solver type shows where, Lie to Me. They do it all the time where like they set a character up and it just so happens that every single episode, the guy or gal, whoever actually committed the crime, like they get put in such a tough spot that they just confess it right there. They're just like, like their true self comes out. You're trying to like bait them into a situation where like their like true intentions or true like motives like come out, and you can show the whole world who they like really are.
Yeah.
Armin's doing that like in reverse. He's like, I know you're a good one, and I know you don't actually intend. Like, I know that if it came down to it, you would save all of us. You wouldn't do it, and so he baits him into doing the right thing as opposed to doing the wrong thing. He's like throws himself in the mouth. It's pretty, Armin, for as depressed as he feels right now and overwhelmed and stuff, he's still pulling out.
His brain is still being a supercomputer and calculating strategies.
Yeah,
to bring out the best possible outcome.
Yes. Okay. Nate the Great nailed it.
Let's hear it.
Armin has the option, right, to try to go after and kill Conny, the aggressor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He has the option to go after and to kill. If he just kills Falco, then Conny can't do the wicked thing he's going to do. Or he could kill the Titan mom and be like, no, I'm not going to let you do this wicked thing. However,
which would destroy Conny and make him useless.
Right.
He doesn't do any of those things. He willingly puts his own life on the line. Okay. What is Zeke going to do? Zeke is going to sacrifice the little to save the many. Eren's going to sacrifice the many to save the little. Armin's going to sacrifice himself like a true leader and say no.
Dang.
Bro. Fire.
Dang.
True.
He says...
Armin's the real hero.
Armin's actually deeper than most watchers realize here. Armin makes the choice to neither harm Conny nor let Falco come to harm. He's willing to sacrifice himself to save both of them. Sure, Armin's feeling down on himself for not living up to Ermin, but I think that his main motivation here is actually suicidal.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
Sherlock said he legitimately attempts suicide under the faith that Conny would most likely save him and was ready for the consequences had he not saved him.
Yeah. So he asked him, like that very next thing, he actually asked him, he's like, what would you... or like basically what would you have done, or what was your plan? Like he's like, to turn your mom back into a human. Like that was his actual plan. He's like, oh,
which is the second time that Armin has laid his life down to save someone.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he did it with Eren
when he got barbecued,
roasted. Yeah. Boom, roasted.
Turned himself into a burnt hot dog. It's bad.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. All right. So so Gabi and Falco get to reunite. It's kind of cute. And they're like crying, and
yeah,
I like that.
And Conny like regrets his decision.
It's
he goes,
definitely bittersweet.
if my mom would have like
seen me,
become a human, she would have been. It would have drove her crazy. What did he say?
She would suffer. He said if you would have thought about it for a second, you know that would only make her suffer.
Yeah, and guess
she
what
would
would have
have
happened?
become the colossal titan, which you can't turn into without destroying a lot of stuff.
Well, just regardless, the fact that she would know that you sacrificed somebody else just so she could live, she wouldn't want that because she's a good person. Like, she wants people to be. She wanted Conny to be a splendid soldier and save people, not cost other people their lives on account of her own self. And so Connie's like realizing, my motivation was twisted. I kind of got messed up. I got lost in the forest for a minute,
Yeah.
And he's like, my mom sent me off to be a good soldier. I almost killed a kid and a friend. That's the soldier I am. And then the thing is, Armin actually hits him back and is like, basically I can relate. Like I couldn't stack up to the commander either. And they're kind of having these like everybody's having doubts.
They're having heart to hearts.
They're having doubts, but they're actually getting past it. And he's like, I want to be a soldier my mom can take pride in. Let's go save people who are in trouble. Thank you, Conny.
But first, pie. Sorry.
Yeah, but first, pie. No, but thank you, Conny, for being. Thank you for being the character that you need to be, which is like, we kind of breeze over this, but when they first approach him, he goes, he's got the sword to Falco, and he's like, no, don't say it. I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna tell me not to do this. You're gonna tell me not to say my mom, to give up my mom for this kid's sake because he's innocent. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. And he says, you know-it-alls wouldn't know what it's like to be an idiot basically like me. What an idiot would want to do like me. Like, his like insecurity comes right out in the open right there. And he's like, you guys are like the smart ones who always get all the cool stuff. Like, you always get all the good, cool stuff done. I'm just an average Joe. I'm just an idiot over here. Like, I'm just trying to do the best I can. Like, you wouldn't know what it's like to be.
He's having a Keith Sadie's moment a little bit.
But like
I'm not special. Yeah,
the I'm not special thing. And like, the thing is, like, there's a sort of humility in it at the same time, which is like, I'm not like you. I wish I'm not an amazing athlete or a great shot or really stinking smart or any of those things. I don't have any of those traits. And I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. And like, Connie's kind of always been that character. Like, they've always sort of made sure that you can appreciate him and love him, but he's clearly not like the grand strategist like Armin or whatever.
He's the everyman.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got this everyman thing, but the everyman, is the one who steps up right here at this point in the show and says, let's go save people who are in trouble. Like, he gets over his sins from 5 minutes ago, presses delete and moves on. He's like, let's go do this. And at the end of the episode, he's the one. He's like, where are we going to go? We're going to go save the world.
He like takes
I thought he was Levi for a second.
He sounded like Levi. He looked like Levi for a second.
Yeah.
He embodies Levi 2.0 is Chad Conny, and Chad Conny is taking Papa Browse's theology to like the utmost. He has embodying it. He is leveled up, and he is ready to freaking rock and roll. And I bet you we're gonna see him doing some epic stuff in the next
I'm
episodes.
sure.
Dude, Charles Nail in the chat here, he just said pride. I actually didn't put that together till you put it in the chat. Thank you for that. This is that moment. This is what every episode has, the one word that describes that one moment in it.
Yeah,
I think he's right. This might
And
be
he's having to swallow his pride.
Yeah.
And you can't spell pride without pie.
What? Okay, the scarf scene. All right.
What the frick?
Mikasa, she rolls into the hospital, finds Louise, like, oh, you found me here.
So Louise has shrapnel in her, apparently.
She says, are you looking for me or the scarf? And she's like, well, I knew you'd have it. And I wore it.
In other words, I only came for the scarf. Biatch. Sorry.
That's kind of the vibe. Like, Mikasa's all cold because,
To somebody who is dying on their bed, who is like, I modeled my whole life
me to
after
give my
you.
life.
Okay, I get that she hates the Jeagerists. I get that she hates what like the military's become. I get that she feels betrayed probably by Jean or whatever. And I get that she's like, you and my ideology are not the same. And maybe even in my blind devotion to Eren early on, I'm the reason you're here in this bed. And that's all okay to feel. But what's not okay is to just walk away cold-heartedly as this person dying on their bed is like, please. Remember Levi in one of the first episodes?
Yeah.
The guy's bloody. Levi hates blood, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's dying, and he rushes over there, and he grabs his bloody friend, and he goes,
your life mattered. Your sacrifice.
Did my sacrifice help?
Yeah.
And he goes, it helped. Like, your life mattered, right? And right as he died, he like said the words he needed to heal so his soul could be at rest. And that's what a good leader does, even to get into the blood. And that's when Levi's like on point, right? We're with him.
I think was it Sean earlier? I don't know if you guys saw this chat, but somebody was saying he's actually the most empathetic character in this show. Like, he actually cares the most about the people directly around him.
It's true, he does. And you kind of see that, like, even as he's chopping everybody up in the forest, all the Titans, in his mind, he's thinking back to the moment when they were all like, please, Captain, let us have this wine. And he didn't want them to bring it, but because he loved his men, he was like, okay, fine, we can bring the wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now he's regretting that choice because it's what turned them all into Titans, and now he can't leave them that way. And so the most compassionate thing he could do is just murder them all because they've turned into zombies now.
And he's got to make Zeke pay one way or the other.
And none of them ever wanted to become Titans.
Yeah.
Or be eaten by Titans. Those were their two nightmares.
So Mikasa, I think, sees something of herself in Louise. She sees something of...
Therefore, she despises her own...
her weakness, the fact that she trusted
that
Eren blindheartedly.
Reflected in Louise.
The fact that Eren said that he hated her. The fact that, like... And maybe even now he doesn't hate her, so she goes to get the scarf. And what does Louise tell her?
She tells her, she says, "Listen, I got a chance to talk to him.
About you.
He talked to me about wanting to throw the scarf out. So rather than throw away, I decided to keep it." She just says, "Give it back." She just takes it from her.
And she takes a scarf off of a dying girl who looks up to her. I'm like, bro, maybe cut it in half. Maybe wait till she passes and then take it off of her body. But still, give her a little bit of hope, or say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna go to Eren. I'm gonna talk to him about you."
Or
I
like,
need this scarf
at
now.
least sit with her until she dies.
I
Like
don't know,
you
man.
can tell
She
she's
takes the
dying.
scarf and says nothing. And well, yeah, she says she's a shrapnel that they can't remove. And then she says, I'm just sorry. Well, now granted, I hate this line because it tells you who she is. She says,
I have no regrets.
I won't. It's a pity I won't be able to see the free world that Eren creates. If that's what you want to call it.
Eren's not creating anything. He's destroying.
He is creating something. Devastation.
Chaos.
Weeping and gnashing of teeth.
If he goes out, and does what we think he's gonna do, but maybe not.
Yeah. I became a soldier because I admired you, and I have no regrets.
Which is the name of the OVA.
I've divided my heart and my life to following in your footsteps. And I just wonder, maybe Mikasa's like coldness is like, oh, I steered you wrong. Like I shouldn't have been towards Eren.
Then at least say something to the girl.
She doesn't say
I know.
anything exactly.
She
She's just
really
like,
does seem dead inside at this moment. Like she's
as cold as Louise is gonna be in 24 hours. I'm just saying. She's as dead inside as Louise is.
Okay, so somebody clip that. Everyone needs to know what he's really like.
She's as cold as the metal shrapnel inside Louise's chest. Okay.
Oh,
I just wish she wasn't. I wish she was like, "Hey, I may have steered you wrong. I'm sorry, but you're valuable." Or, "Hey,
something.
Maybe we disagree on our ideology, but
I feel like she has no hope anymore. Like Mikasa's hope is completely gone, and she doesn't see any point in even saying anything to Louise because whatever she said would just fall on deaf ears because she's so radical and sold out. Like there's no getting through to her.
We still
at
have
all.
to try to reach out
and
to those
I think
people,
Mikasa
though.
just like has given up.
She's goth Casa.
She is.
Gothicus?
She's
I don't know.
He's working.
Gakatha? No.
Emo Casa? I don't know.
So, all right, we get to this next quick cut where the last of the Titans are leaving. They're like, oh, good, an end to all this rumbling noise. And then somebody says, oh, it sounds like the bells of freedom to me.
Gross.
Yeah, it's bad. Oh,
It's a clip like the Liberty Bell.
yeah. I was going to say, well, I'll say that at the end.
Okay.
I'll say it at the end. Okay, so now we get to Floch Roach leading his little roaches.
He is full of poop emoji.
He has been saying, we have observed
all the poop emojis.
Last episode and this one.
Every single one.
Floch has said multiple things that are just objectively untrue. It's not like he's like, oh, he said something that sounds a little bit weird. We're not sure.
He's interpreting the data in one way. It's not like that. It's like he's like, no, I know the truth is something else.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something that's different from reality.
So the last episode, at the end of it, he's doing Floch Roach stuff. He shoots those guys. He shoots the guy and whatever. And he tells Jean, he tells everybody. He goes, Eren told me this whole plan beforehand.
I'm his right-hand man now.
And I'm supposed to be here to do his will. Which already is suspect because you're not his close confidant like these other soldiers were. So why Floch? Unless Eren saw the correct moldable mind in Floch to make him into whatever. And maybe that was the case. To be fair, maybe that's true. So I don't know if that part's true or not. It doesn't sound true, but it could be. But then he goes, they ask, oh, well, what happened to Jean and Mikasa? What happened to Levi and Hange? And he's like, oh, well, unfortunately, they were killed by Zeke. Objectively untrue. You saw them jump into the river. Maybe Levi's dead, but Hange
Yeah,
isn't
that's a
dead.
good point. For sure Hange is alive. What the heck?
Well, now we know from this episode, none of those soldiers came back. They all got killed by freaking Hange. She shot him.
Yeah.
So
She took them all out.
He says that, and that my point is to say that, like, we can now verify, like, Floch says things very boldly and proudly that are definitely not true.
Which is every politician and every great, like, leader,
Yes.
you know.
Because so then he carries on, and he goes, the Eldian Empire has been persecuted. He says this to, like, a group of soldiers. Eldian Empire has been persecuted or endured persecution for 100 years. That ends now. We are free. Okay. Again.
Not on that island, really. I mean, they were in the walls.
You could make a case, and maybe there's a translation thing, maybe Mako or something like that, if I'm missing something in translation. But sure, you could make the case. Obviously, they've been behind the walls. The thing, and in internment
zones all over the world.
They've been in internment
persecuted.
zones, and they've been behind the walls. But the persecution part would be like the Titans, right? They make the pure Titans and they send them in, and they've like kept us here. Here's the thing: is the world didn't do that to you. The founding Royal Titan people did. They built the walls, so far as we know.
Yeah.
They wiped your memories. They isolated everybody, and then they made this idle threat, they made an idle threat to the rest of the world, and then made a vow renouncing war. The world didn't do that to you. An Eldian, not just any Eldian, the Eldians, the royals, like the founding people, like they're the ones who did this. So he's very, either very confused or just
making random crap up. For his own reasons.
Just making it up. No, I have to wonder. Like, I just don't know, like, what exactly, what bit of this is actually true. So, the isolation thing, the founders when he did that.
Which, can I just say, the poor Eldians and the rest of the world, like, they've been persecuted for a century, put in internment zones, treated like crap, and now they're going to get stomped.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Indeed.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. It is dumb.
And it sucks.
I don't know if they're going to get stomped. I'm still interested to see.
But they all think they are. Maybe they're not, but that's what they all think at this point, and they have no reason not to.
Yeah. There's uprisings going on. We know that much. But I still think that if Eren can control the Colossal Titans enough to make them exit in single file lines to cause the least amount of damage, he can also control them enough to maybe have them not eat Eldians or stomp Eldians or try to avoid Eldians or do something where he's going to tell them in the past, everybody go to the left side of this. What I don't know. But maybe,
who knows?
Maybe not. Maybe he's just like, nah, every LD and everywhere else is.
He's just going to use the Colossals as a giant.
They think that we're all devils.
Just like cleanse the earth like a Roomba.
The colossal Roomba.
All right, so they give this like we don't need to talk about this much, but like the Mikasa, the dude asked Mikasa like, oh, you gonna join the Jeagerist, like, and be a hero, be like a leader with one of them? She's like, not interested. And like, oh well, Jean didn't think so. And he's like up there like.
And he looks dead
platform.
inside now.
Now, we can't tell if the look they give each other is like an actual look of like, I can't believe you, or if it's like a, we know. We know what's happening next year.
They both have some pretty intense poker faces going on.
Indeed. They start giving, I'm so mad about this. I'm so mad. They start giving the Shinzo Sasageo chant, which we've been having a hard time with, like, since, like,
yeah, I know. I feel like they have
general.
taken our favorite saying and taken a giant crap on it.
Yeah.
It's when somebody co-ops your cool, like, words and stuff.
Sucks.
I'm offended.
It's it with something gross, and you're
I'm just
like,
kidding.
Yeah, they turn it into something you kind of like, you're despicable.
And I don't want to say this anymore because you say it.
You say it and it makes me feel bad.
Unpopular kids started saying the cool words you invented, you know?
Stop trying to make fetch happen. so they go to the party, the long live the Jeagerist party. It's sunny out. It's a nice day. Let's have a freaking festival. The rest of the world's
crazy.
dying.
To me, this had to be like a week or two later.
No, it's like the next day.
It's crazy that he would like clean up all of the rubble from the walls falling down.
I think they're still cleaning up the rubble and also having a party
and having
at
like
the
festivals,
same time, which is weird.
This reminded me of the festival they had inside the internment zone right before the
Liberio
stage scene.
Yeah,
but it also reminded me of before the Titans kicked in the walls. Like Eren, in a way, even if it's for only a day, has created peace and harmony inside the walls.
Yeah, paradise.
Yeah,
which hasn't been.
Well, there are no more walls actually.
Well, inside the
shores of the island, because there's no more walls. They all walked away.
Dang.
Which, I mean, is the cost too much to bear for that peace and harmony? I think so, but
yeah, probably. Okay, so the part I want to talk about here is, they find Reiner, or they basically said, well, we got to go find Reiner, and then she says, oh, he'll be out for days. Gabi says that. Not sure why. Does she know something we don't? Like, is it when you're running out of energy like that, you have to recover for days? I don't know. Who knows? And this is the scene where it's like, oh, this is a good, detour. And, Armin, is it really true? He's like, yeah, if all the hardening goes undone, there's a good chance that Annie, and they like turn around and see Annie.
There's Annie just shoving pie in her face.
While they're eating, I'm like, that looks just like Annie on the side. How are they not noticing?
Up. She's like, where's my hood? I can't find it. I have too much hair.
Do you need to get you a piece of pie so you can emulate?
She's like,
she looks like a witch eating pie, but also the memes in this episode, the faces, the really weird bright
the weird
color
jokes in the bright colors. Yeah,
this episode felt more like a cartoon to me than it did like an anime.
Yeah,
it really did.
So the meme face, the number 2 here, is Annie, but the
with crumbs.
The former meme face is Conny, who's like, OMG, you're eating pie like a pig.
He's not like, oh my gosh, it's Annie, the one who betrayed us, who killed all of our friends, and she's finally out of the hardening, and we have to get answers. He's like, you eat pie like a pig.
And then Armin's like, she hasn't had pie in 4 years, Connie, jeez.
I'm surprised he didn't have the little red cheeks on Armin and the heart emojis around his head or something,
She's perfect, even when she eats like a pig.
What is this
He's
scene?
Kermit the Frog and she's Miss Piggy.
It's so strange. And then why did they leave without Hitch? Annie
I know, they just ditch her.
I'm here with Hitch. She can come with. She has a similar heart. She goes, nah, screw that hoe.
Peace out.
Let's go. We got better people now.
Okay,
I got bigger fish to fry. Plus, they had pie, so I don't need yours.
I made this comment before, but I need to make sure that everybody hears it here. So, all right, they do ditch Hitch, which I don't think they should have done. But 2 things. Number 1, there's going to be some reason for this because she's actually been on their side before.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some reason.
She has committed subterfuge.
Yeah,
to help them out.
She's been
back
good.
in the days of Erwin.
Yes. So we know she's the right kind of person. And my prediction is she either A, realizes what's happened and is like, I can't do this anymore. I can't serve this Jeagerist party. I can't be here and quote the interior and do this anymore. I gotta bounce. Mm-hmm. So she either leaves or she stays in and then is she comes around to help one last time. We wouldn't have spent so much time with her as a character this last episode and a half if that wasn't the case, I don't think. So secondly, Annie writes her this note and she's like, hey, I saw Armin and whoever and Connie and John. I'm going to go with them now. She says, thanks for talking to me for all these years. Goodbye, your gloomy roommate. Okay, so many things here. So many things. Yeah. Number 1, she left her a note. Old Annie wouldn't leave a note.
No, she would have killed a bug or something.
Yes, old Annie would have slapped an old woman, need somebody in the face and walked off and spat on somebody's,
because nothing mattered to her, but now stuff matters.
Now it matters. She has a friend in Hitch.
She has a friend and she has a father at home that she's trying to get back to.
So you've got a friend in Hitch.
She leaves a note, which was already not something that old Annie would have done. Secondly, in the note, she explains what's going on and she says, thank you for talking to me those years. She was grateful that somebody was able to talk to her, to help her through her quiet suffering essentially.
Yeah.
And then she says your gloomy roommate, which is a joke, which is something old Annie would never have done. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong here, but Isayama's a deep writer. He puts a lot of thoughts into these things. I feel like he is trying to tell us Annie has actually changed.
Yeah.
Annie is not dead inside like Jean and Mikasa.
She's different.
She's alive now.
She's realized that she has people that matter.
And the whole Armin and Hitch talking to her for all these years, I have to wonder if that didn't have an effect.
Oh, certainly.
Have you thought about this?
I don't think she would have been the same person now had she not been forced to deal with all of the issues and work out in her own mind and heart what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
So this has to be for a reason that they don't bring Hitch with them. It's going to come back into effect because you don't have this major character you just dug up for no reason and then you just ditch her with no...
Yeah.
There's not even anything in the note. It's we'll be in touch.
Wink, wink.
You're in position. We're going to... But they are. She's going to show up later on. I'm 90% confident in this. And at some point... Toot Goldstein said, I think she's going to team up with Keith Shades.
Yeah, we kind of were theorizing.
We had a theory that as well, yeah. So I guess we'll get there when we get to the mysterious person.
Yeah. All right, now we got to get to Well, her last line, sorry. She's like, I can't finish this pie alone. Like, she's like another joke.
She's annoyed, too. She's like, good grief. I can't finish this by myself.
It is sad. I hate that she's by herself. Because she lost
no one to talk to for
I have
4
a
years.
feeling
her only
that
true love is lost. Her dating life sucks.
I know.
Her once enemy, now turned friend has, like, abandoned her almost immediately.
I feel like her and
life.
Annie already shared a pie, and Annie was so hungry that she went to go buy a second pie, and then Annie left.
Deuces.
Before
Dash and dine. You got to pay, you know?
Yeah,
Listen,
now she's
Hitch.
like, I can't finish this pie alone. Man.
We need to train you up in the way you should go, okay? You should be able to finish at least a pie on your own, okay?
No.
Yeah, everyone should.
That's
it's a
how
really
you end
good
up
life
with
skill.
instant diabetes and go to the hospital.
So
Okay.
the boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. Flock Roach is happening. I know. No, you don't want to talk about the scene, but you got to talk about the scene because actually it's pretty awesome. Comrades of the Empire, thanks for gathering. It's time to execute the volunteers, he says. All right, so he says this, another line. He says, we are going to carry out Eren's will to dominate the world.
Is Eren a god now? Like, what is happening?
That's how they see him.
Something seems wrong here.
You know how they refer to him as honorable leader. That's how they refer to him. That's the level.
Czar.
This like North Korean level of like you cannot besmirch his name. The way Louise was talking about him.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see the world that
Eren cannot fail. He can only be failed.
Yes. Creepy.
People are like having a festival and saying cheers to Eren and like all that stuff. Yeah, it's creepy.
We need to bring Daniel on because he's our last lone Jeagerist. It's worth watching. Okay, let's see. He says a bunch of things, but he basically explains, he says, yeah, we're carrying out Eren's will to dominate the world by declaring our reign on Paradise. And he talks about, this criminal Yelena and explains how she was with the euthanization plan and so on and so forth. And they're like, yeah, she's just a filthy Marley and she's one of Zeke's pawn. Like, they call her a whore. They, like, do the classic, like, things that you would do in a mob to, like...
Go to every trope.
Yeah.
They call her Mainlander, too.
Mainlander. Ooh. Milk drinker.
What a diss. Milk drinker.
Filthy milk drinker. So he's like, any last words? And she's like, are you going to shoot? Yelena hasn't said a word of dialogue since...
It's true. She's been completely quiet.
It's been crazy to actually get her to shut her mouth.
I think the only thing she said was, Zeke, where are you? But that was inside her head. I don't think she said it out loud.
She's kind of stunned. Like, all her like plans have fallen apart. So they're like, shoot her, Ute! And they're like, not yet.
And they're all disappointed. They're like, oh.
He's a bad villain. He
didn't commit
again.
cold-blooded murder. We're so sad.
Dude, mob and
Y'all need Jesus.
It's a real thing, though, that happens.
Frick, dude.
So then he gets to the Onion Capone part, and he's like, this guy didn't know the plan, but he said he'd rather die than join us. So we're going to give it to him. And he laughs, and he's like, or he says, it's not too late to join. And then Onion Capone laughs, and he's like, listen, I came here and aided you guys to save my homeland from Marley, but I helped you in the process. And what did that get me? My homeland is going to be crushed. My family's going to be massacred. And it's all the only people left are going to be you xenophobic pieces of crap. Edited for what's it called, for TV? Edited for, anyway. It's the
PG-13
censored version. And he's like, sucking up to you for the rest of my life isn't worth it. Even you guys should know how insane it is, how insane indiscriminate killing is. Why don't any of you understand? Like, he just like, he's been kind
dropping some sense on these fools.
He truth bombs like multiple times in this show.
It's true, he does.
He's done it like a bunch of times. He's like, hey, like this is how it is, and he just drops it on him.
He's the voice of truth and reason for so much of the show.
He's like what we wish Pastor Nick would have been.
Yes.
But was never.
It's Papa Browse and Onion Capone, like hitting hard, spitting truth.
Yeah.
They need their own like talk show.
Yes.
Like Dr. Phil, like they're both gonna bring, like they'll bring Yelena on and they'll just grill her and like, your mother never loved you, did she? You know, and like, oh man, Papa Browse, give me a hug.
Okay, so he gets his like epic speech, and
hang on a sec.
What? Let's hear it.
The line from the manga was even doper.
Let's hear it.
My life is not so precious as to flatter the likes of you.
What?
Banger!
Mic drop.
Onion Capone, man.
Wow.
What a hero.
They might put a bullet in him, but he'd killed everyone there.
That's
like
right.
He was the true hero. Dang, dude. So he gives his freaking epic speech. And I just love that, like, I love that he just is the logic. Like, he's the only one to speak rationally to these people. Like, they don't have, obviously they're all Jaegers, so they don't have any rational
anybody. In the face of a gun, he's willing to say, like, you're freaking wrong, and you should all know how wicked indiscriminate killing is.
He's like, listen, you can see my motivations clearly and plainly. I did this to help my homeland. I did it to help you. And now the only things I tried to accomplish are done. And you want me to join you? And you're despicable as it is. Now, I despise buzzwords like xenophobic, fear of all people kind, basically. However, in this case, it might be the one time ever that it's like kind of like about right.
Actually appropriate.
Yeah, they don't like anybody else. They're like only Eldians. So it's bad, but it's anyway. And he's like, come on, John, like say something. And I love that he actually still has this confidence in him. He's like,
he still has faith in Jean, even though
I knew
Jean has been trying to pretend like he has no soul this whole time.
Yeah. So he gives the 4 gunshots. Not scared. You counted. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, wait. What? Like he shoots one guy multiple times, and also they always do this in shows, but like it's a cartoon, it's whatever. Anya Capone would have lost all his hearing. 4 shots right next to his head.
It's true.
Yeah, all of them actually. Have you ever shot a pistol without ear pro? Like it sucks.
Have you ever just been standing to the side of a decent pistol when it's been fired? Like the impact of just the air like heating up and going out from either side of the chamber is actually pretty significant. Like a gun, guns are dangerous. Kids, just don't mess around. Anyway, it doesn't kill him, and that's the signal. Cart Titan comes in, freaking cleans him up, and they stage this thing pretty well. We had to watch it that second time to really go, oh, okay, I think we know what's going on here. But it's a ruse. It always is. So he pushes Floch out of the way. Like, Floch, oh no, Supreme Leader, don't die. Oh, but he does it. It's an act. He does it like, oh no. And then the Cart Titan comes and snatches him up and grabs Yelena and Anya Capone as well. And the soldiers actually say, like, oh no, they've been eaten.
They've been eaten by the Cart Titan.
Cart ate him.
He saved Floch. What a hero he was.
Yeah, what a guy. And then he's like...
Floch's like, go get Mikasa. Wait, where is she?
Wait, where is Mikasa? Again, he's bad at being a villain. Like, he's like, oh, I'm going to be the Supreme Leader and I'm going to lead this move, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like... Bro, you can't take care of extremely important details like,
Mikasa?
See this really powerful warrior? Is she on your side or not?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know where she is at all times.
Yeah.
You're the worst dictator ever.
He's even a bad fascist. Like, if he was a good fascist, he would have had her, like, lined up and shot.
Yes, either lined up and shot or locked up in freaking Siberia. Like, that's how it's done, bro. Gosh. Anyway, he sucks. Floch Roach. Okay. Carry on.
Okay, so this brings back another important point,
which is
why save Floch? Now we were all like, no, he was right there. You could have just like let him get hit by the jaws.
I thought he was gonna get shot. I thought it was gonna be.
We thought he was gonna get shot. We thought, oh no,
we were all hoping
Titan's gonna eat him, and then you're gonna save Jean or whatever. But they didn't. It was important to the plan for some reason to save Floch.
We don't know why.
Needs to be alive. Now, is the fact that he's so bad of a leader that they're like, no, it's better that he's in charge.
He will do more damage by being in charge than we could ever do.
And so it's better that he's in charge because we can exploit him and we can easily beat him. Or was it so to get in the good graces so they wouldn't suspect that they're... Well, why suspect? They're all leaving anyways, right? There's something else going on here. They need people on the inside.
Yeah, I think them... Because they're starting like a little faction, right? They're starting like an outside faction. And I think they need to begin it in secret. And it's important to them to begin it in secret because, number one, they are, in fact, allying themselves with Marley. So...
I wouldn't in and of secret.
Itself... Well, I know I'm saying... But hear me out. So in and of itself... What they got to do here is they got to play a political game a little bit, which is you have a bunch of people on the island.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some of those people are clearly Jeagerists. Some of them are not, but they're still just farmers and they don't really have a choice. They may not agree with Eren. They may not agree with the rumbling. Who knows? But to those people, as far as the information that they have in mind, those people don't like Marley either. There's nobody on the island. There's nobody on the island who could really understand the let's make ourselves an ally with Marley right now.
Yeah.
It's very rare if it's a small number of people who could understand that in general. So you'd have a hard time selling this thing as like we're starting an uprising out here, like let's go.
And who's with you? Some Marlians.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is I think it is this whole idea of like we have to make it seem like, they were eaten, they were killed, they were taken out. It just seems like it's better that this thing stay a secret for a second so we have time and they have to steal even the stealing the weapons and the food, which is the next shot. Is like the whole point is like we're trying to pull this off in such a way that nobody knows that it's happening.
Yes, and
nobody knows who's doing it specifically.
They're shocked that somebody sees them and they're worried about it.
Yeah.
However, I still think like obviously I don't know what their whole plan is. It's Hange, it's Armin, it's Magath and Pieck who are behind, and Levi who are behind this whole plan. So it's a damn good plan. Like,
sure.
And if you just told me like, hey, Hange, Pieck, Magath, Levi, Armin, they have all got a plan. I'm like, I'm in. That's all.
I don't care what it is.
I don't care any of the details.
The best plan ever.
I'm in. I'm 100% in because
even if just 2 of those people.
Yeah, I'd be pretty down.
I'd be like, okay,
right?
what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me what
Who
is
do
my
I gotta
part?
kill, right?
Yeah.
But if it was me, I would have made it more public. I would have said, no, there is another group. We're going to stand up against you damn Jeagerists. We're going to stand on the side of freedom.
Yeah.
We care about everyone, and we're gonna revolt. And that would put some, because we know there's people amongst the Jeagerists who don't agree 100%.
Yeah.
And Keith tells them, shut up and just play along.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the time will come.
The time will come. And so I would basically be like, hey, you guys, you know that the Floch's a freaking liar. You know he's some kind of like terrible person, and you guys are following along. You know this is not what Eren would have wanted or whatever, and this is not what's right. And I would have put that doubt into the mind of the people, so they would at least had 2 options. Right now they feel like it's only one option, Jeagerist, right? But I would have put that doubt into their mind and been like, no, there's another option out there, and maybe they're the ones that are right. At least they have something to talk about.
Yeah.
As of right now. And I would have killed Floch personally, but
we all would have killed Floch.
But there's a reason they left him alive, and they wanted it to be a secret. And maybe it's what you're talking about. Maybe it's something deeper. Don't know 100% yet. But if it was me, I would have done it differently. I don't know why Floch has to be alive. And I have another theory. Did you guys ever see Lost?
No.
Okay, so in Lost, I'm going to spoil it for you guys.
People are lost.
Because
I've only had like a decade.
It's been out for like 12 years. Or
Bro,
15 years.
It's such a crazy show. But anyway, continue.
In Lost, at the end, they're like, yeah, by the way, this whole thing on the island is like purgatory in a way.
Yeah.
Everyone's like stuck here,
this.
right, in purgatory, and it's just been like trying to figure out, I don't know, whatever. It was a terrible way.
Their souls are lost, not their bodies.
Yeah, it was a
They're
terrible
dead.
way to end the show. That was so intriguing and so well written.
They didn't write the ending first.
They didn't do an Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams made good characters, which didn't have. So this whole thing is purgatory for Floch, because remember, he's the only one who survived that crazy attack. He's the only one who survives the Marleyan invasion. He's the only one. Like, so many times he could have died, and he just happens to evade death. This is actually, he's the main character of the show, and it's just hell for him to continue living again and again and again. And they can't kill him off. They want him to survive to see the terrible. Exactly. Just kidding.
All right, so we got to talk. So yeah, the character. Let's talk about the character, the shady guy who sees him.
So they take advantage of the cart titan jumping off the side of the building. They go off the opposite side of the castle. They're going to be focused on that side.
They steal supplies.
We can get out. So we know they're all working together.
Classic move.
They steal supplies. They steal weapons. They steal a couple carts, and they get out.
Reminds me of when the scouts were on the run. It kind of harkens back to that a little bit.
It does a little bit.
Now, where are they going?
To save the world.
Yeah, but where are they going?
To save
some
the
random.
world.
Well, actually, the cart titan takes Jean and Yelena and Anya Capone to some undisclosed location where there's a river, so that Jean can throw up in the river, apparently.
and meet up with Magath and Pieck.
And the rest of them go find Reiner.
Yes. But Annie's the one who turns around here, and she's like, "What's?"
She has this. Her spidey sense goes off.
Yeah.
She turns around.
She's like, somebody's watching us, and we paused it and looked at this like scene a little bit. It's clearly like, it seems like it's a male.
I'm pretty sure it's
female, but
who do you think, Rich?
I think it's Keith Stades.
You think Keith Stades is watching him from his cell or whatever?
So we have to try and remember, like, where was Keith last? Like, they didn't really exactly.
He was
say.
in a room, bandaged up, and he was talking to the guys who beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, and he was telling them to
and he was telling them to continue to be Jeagerists, but to not really be Jeagerists and wait for their moment and not lose themselves. But he wasn't in a cell. He was in a room with a bed and a window.
Yeah, he wasn't in prison yet, so he was still kind of free to like roam about. And there was a window where he was. Yeah, so I agree.
So I'm pretty sure that he was just watching them from his room where he was recovering.
I thought it could have been him, or it could have been his like main disciple guy, the kid with the glasses.
Yeah,
and he's gonna relay that information to the other guys who are on the inside. He's gonna be like, "Hey, there's another faction."
They were wearing the coat. They were wearing not the scout uniform, but something like
the military one with the swords.
It just looked like his silhouette to me. His cue ball head and like his wide shoulders. That's who it seemed like to me. I don't know if that was actually him, or it could have been the guy who was standing next to Jean. At the very Floch's first speech where he was full of crap.
Yeah, I like when they do mysteries like this because it's like,
we're not really sure who that guy was.
Yeah, like,
but somebody, gosh, how I wish it was Pixis, but it's not. We all know it's not Pixis.
For once, it wasn't Annie. True story.
So we get to...
but it was her that saw him.
We get to the river. He's puking because you don't want to be inside of a Titan's mouth for very long.
She never brushes her teeth.
Never brushes her teeth.
Which is hilarious considering earlier Conny was like, hey, let's brush this Titan's teeth. And then Hange's like, why don't you ever brush your teeth?
My theory is that this whole episode was just propaganda from Big Dentistry.
Yeah.
It's paid for. Siyama's
the
like
dental,
in the pocket.
The dental industrial complex.
Yeah. You're like, make a whole episode about teeth and brushing and how terrible. You're going to puke if you're, in someone's...
Okay, so Anya Capone asks Jean, he's like, why? When did you ally yourself with Marlene? He's like, last night. He's like, why? If you stayed a Jeagerist, you'd have everything you wanted. And he says, I wish I could have plugged my ears when I was in that room, but then those ashy bones would never forgive me. I'm thinking he's talking about the rumbling and just those who've died before him. Like, there's no way he'd be able to honor the deaths that got him this far, or the deaths of all the millions of people in the world that would be on his conscience. And like, it's just interesting because in the last episode, I kind of rewatched it recently, and Jean really does have like, is it over? Like, he says that for a second, and then he's like, yeah, you can go back to being old Jean. You can be, reckless and cheeky and arrogant or whatever. And he goes, What'd you call me? Because here's the thing, is like that line,
cheeky and arrogant, which is exactly what
that's the most Floch thing ever too. Because he's like going back to, well, he's saying, no, you can go back to being your old crappy self. But here's the thing, like if you ever been at this point in your life where
that's a good point.
Where you make progress,
a compliment, it's actually an insult.
But if you ever improved as a person and you look back and you're like, I'm proud to say that I can, overcome something that I can't now. Ashy Bones is a reference specifically to Marco, but by extension, the fallen who came before.
Dang.
Marco. It's true. I hadn't thought of Marco.
Marco's still keeping John on the path, man.
Dude, he is.
Man,
he is.
Dang. Thanks, Nate.
Those, yeah. Sorry, threw me off my point
That totally derailed your train.
It did.
Yeah, you were talking about... going back to your old self, not making any progress.
If you've ever been in a position where you've made progress, like is your character, not just like, oh, I built something, but like you gained a new skill and now you can do something you couldn't do before. But more like your character is more important. Like now you react. Somebody calls you a name and you used to get really pissed about it. Now you don't anymore, and you're like, oh, I've improved this. You never want to go back. If you are like, for me, like I used to really struggle. I had like really deep, like, clinical anxiety and so on and so forth. Like no one would ever want the old Eric. Like I'm better now. I am significantly better. I feel better. I am a better, like, friend and husband and all the things. Like I'm better. I never want to go back. Yeah. I never want to go back to being old Eric in 100%. Any way. I don't care if you liked it or not, but like, that's not who I want to be. And John's like, what'd you call me? Like, I'm not those things. Like I'm not those things anymore.
He's a confident leader. He's a good squad mate. He's he's advanced. And the offer is to like, it's the same offer that society tries to give us. It's like
sell your soul.
Stay in your childhood.
So you can just not have to try anymore.
Don't grow up. Don't take responsibility. Blame it on somebody else. Go to college and just play around for 4 years. Just stay a child for as long as you possibly can. Just be part of these communities that are just like so lowbrow, and it's like the opposite of what we need to do. We need to grow up. We need to become people who are productive, who are helping other people get out of the forest.
Thinking outside of yourself.
To think about the needs of others. We need to grow up so we can produce something that's going to help other people, and it's so self-centered to be like, you can just stay in your old self. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. It's just like, it's the lie,
climb
man.
into your rut and just walk in there.
He says you could have had it all if you would have just kept your mouth shut. Obviously Anya Capone couldn't do it, but John, how come you didn't do it? And it's, what does it profit a man if he gained the whole world, but he loses his soul?
Yeah.
And John's like, no, like the people, Marcos and everybody else who come before me would not let me. Their testimonies are moving me to want to be something better and to resist, and so I had to make a deal.
Fight for something greater than yourself. Here's the thing: he's actually saying it's weird because we kind of came full circle on this. We were talking about this earlier. Like to some people, there's more to life than just being comfortable. Jean is one of those people. Like there's more. It is a more rich life to fight in the trenches for meaning and for purpose and for virtue than it is to live comfy with no purpose, no real purpose in your life anymore.
Which is amazing because that's been his character this whole time. Like he could have been an MP, but he chose to join the Scouts because it was a more noble. Like his character has been consistently developing and growing, and I feel like Isayama has not betrayed that in any way.
It's beautiful, that development.
I appreciate that, because so many times that crap doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right. Nate's pointing this out too. He says back in season 1, John gripped the burned bones, and he says where the bodies and stuff were being burned after Trost, because remember they had to pile up the bodies to burn them all.
He's got the bandana on.
And he says, I don't know which bones are yours. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I was trying
He's talking to Marco.
Yeah, he's talking to Marco. Okay, so that makes sense.
Marco, who freaking...
Those ashy bones.
Okay, so...
I knew that meant something really deep, and I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, and you guys brought this up a couple episodes ago. We missed the Children of the Forest line.
Right.
And how could we miss that? This is what we do.
Yeah.
But this is not all we do, we promise. And also, that's why we need the squad. We need you guys to help us get those references, those little beautiful things. There's so many threads that are coming together.
Come join the live stream if you haven't.
Each one are beautiful. So thank you for the emails. Thank you for bringing that back up.
Yeah.
Thank you for you guys' contributions. And thanks for being with us on the live stream, live Sunday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Come join us if you haven't yet. Last bit here is Yelena says, why me? And she says, well, securing you is part of the deal to borrow the cart's power, the cart titan power. They wanted you alive, and it goes to Magath, shows his face.
Man, he is just stink-eyeing her to kingdom come. Just like,
what does he want with her? What do you think?
Laser beam eyes.
If he wanted just to get one pimp backhand off on her, before she dies, he's like, I needed her for this one
Somebody
thing.
needs to add laser beams coming out of his eyes while he stares at her.
Yeah, no. Obviously, they want it for a reason. He's a strategist. He wants her for a reason.
Magath is also, very deep thinking, layered guy.
My first idea was that they're going to want her to try to use it as leverage to draw Zeke out, because Zeke, even though he pretends like he doesn't, I think he does care about Yelena. But
perhaps
my other idea was, hopefully they've taken her away from a bunch of murdering savages, and they're going to go hey, you were a terrible person before, but you don't have to be that anymore. Yeah. You can be somebody. You can be like a Gabi. You can change. You can grow. You can become your own person who has value outside of what you can just do for people. And we're going to love and value you for who you are, and hope that you're not a murdering psychopath anymore. And she could become a member of society. That's my hope.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure I don't know. She's pretty broken in her brain.
Okay, I want to give a theory about that, but I'm going to save it for spoiler section. Okay. So the actual last scene here is they go, Annie kicks Reiner, wakes him up, and is like, oh, what? She couldn't even be nice for... She's changed, but not that much.
She still hates Reiner.
Some things will never change.
Reiner's gone through this huge character arc, and he's overcome so many things. He's fought Eren,
She's been asleep for 4 years.
And she just kicks him in the head.
She just picks up where they left off with their relationship. I know you're almost dead, but... I'm going to kick you in the face.
So they wake up, but he's like, oh, what are we going to do? And these guys are Gabi and Falco, they're our allies now. There's not much time. Let's go. Where to?
To save the world.
But it's the everyman. It's the Connie who says it.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I totally thought it was Levi, which was completely ridiculous.
I thought it was Levi too at first. I was like, who said that?
The way he said it.
The way he said it was like a Levi way. It's Levi 2.0.
Step in.
Chad Connie's becoming a hero. Jean's stepping up to become a leader. Armin's becoming a good strategist like Erwin. Mm-hmm. And he's not just a broken piece of crap. Everyone has come
she's
so
a slightly
far.
Less broken piece of crap.
Gabi's not just a racist anymore. Right?
Yeah, no, seriously. Gabi's one of my favorite turnarounds because she's so young.
All these people are turning around, and their character development is
Falco is like
awesome.
Marco 2.0. I hope he doesn't die.
Yeah.
Same, yeah. All right, so if you don't want to do the spoiler section with us, it's not really a spoiler because we don't know what's going to happen, but some people are don't want to hear the theories because for their reasons. I understand. So we're about to do that. Email us, beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out, of course, on YouTube, and you can check us out here on twitch.tv/beyondthebasement at 5 on Sundays. We'll be back. Speaking of, what is it, the end of March, about 3 weeks?
Yeah.
There's an episode that's delayed. We haven't totally decided what we're going to do for that yet. We'll broadcast,
we'll do
something,
something.
But
maybe on Friday.
We shall see. Yeah. Okay. I'm chugging this thing. Ready for friggin'...
We'll hang out with you guys on Twitch one way or the other. We'll do something.
Should we get to some emails?
Do you have emails?
Yeah, I got
Can I do...
Why don't you hit your thing?
I got a couple of things.
Let's do the predictions with Eric.
A small one is the Yelena thing. I think... So, all right. We made this observation. Yelena is very tall.
And creepy.
Very tall and creepy and has the blonde hair. And she looks just like the people who are the guards of the Tiber family. Mm-hmm. Our suspicion is that she's from that people group or something. I have to imagine that what Magath wants with her is information. And he's like, bring me back Yelena alive. I want her alive because we need to know X, Y, and Z. I'm not sure what, but she was part of Marley. She infiltrated their military. She did all kinds of crazy stuff. I just have to think that Magath has got...
She's a good spy, for sure.
She is.
She's a Pieck level spy. Like, she's very good at what she does.
Yes, indeed talented. So there's that. So that's kind of my theory with that. My second thing, which again, this probably doesn't go in this section. Maybe I should have talked about it in the main part of the episode, but nonetheless, I had made this observation that I've said this a million times, that this show has a lot of World War II similarities once you get to the end of season 3. You see the armbands, like the Eldians are treated kind of like the Jews are in internment camps, and they're mocked and hated and so on and so forth. So Marley is kind of like this German type, archetype or whatever a little bit, and whatever. So on the other side of that, interestingly enough, and it dawned on me, I was like, maybe this is even the reason they're called the Jeagerists. The Jeagerists, in terms of how they dress, the chants and all the stuff, they're a lot like the communists. They have a revolution inside of their own country. Like, there's all these things. They're just so similar to the Bolsheviks and the brown shirts red. What am I trying to say? The Bolsheviks, the communists inside of Russia, the Russian Revolution, whatever. They're very, very similar, and so that is almost identical to World War II, where, like I said, you have the Germans on the one side, you have the Nazis, and you have the communists on the other side, and then you have the West, right? Then you have like Britain and Allied forces and so on and so forth, and they have to kind of form this like third party and intervene somewhere. The unfortunate thing is that we had to have an ally in one or the other, right? And it was clear that the ally had to be the communist, even though they were also horrible, murderous people. But it had to be them first, so in order to take out the Nazis. But as soon as the Nazis were done, like, that alliance is essentially broken, and they have to then form, two separate parties again. But that's basically what's happened in the show. You kind of had like this communist revolution inside of Paradise. You had the German kind of Nazi force like outside there. Both are kind of like hell-bent on like not good stuff, and then you have this like third party over here, this like new faction, which is kind of like I said, the West. And just the only reason I really pointed out is because, again, it seems to me that Isayama pulls a ton from real life stuff, which he should. He's a good author. He's thinking this thing through. I'm assuming that that's intentional, that he is a student of World War and kind of understands like, in order to build an interesting story, how about we don't just have 2 sides, we have 3, and side 3 has to make an ally with side 2 in order to beat side 1. You know what I mean? Like, I love the like sort of complexity of it all. So anyway, that's just that's pretty much all I've got, actually.
It's really interesting and a good deep cut on that. There's no right or wrong sometimes. Sometimes both are wrong.
Yeah.
You have to find the
good
in
way.
between. Yeah, exactly.
All right. You going to read us an email?
Yeah. Rachel, what about your predictions?
I don't know if I have any that I haven't already said.
Yeah.
Past.
You
yeah.
good?
I think I'm good. I don't really have anything specific.
The next episode, they're in the woods, it looks like.
Yeah.
In a preview or something like that, that's what I assume. Like, they're going to go out to the wilderness. But what is their like next move? They have, we were talking
I want to know where the heck Historia is and when she's going to reappear in the story.
What was the other?
Is she having her baby? Has she had her baby? What is happening? Because Armin mentioned her last episode. She's probably in danger. Are they going to go save her? Are they going to go find her?
I thought
that's
that's where Eren was heading, was to go to her. That's where I thought. But
he seems to have gone off with the Colossal Titans, I think. So I don't know. I'm wondering what Armin is thinking about Historia and how she's going to play into all of this going forward.
One of the emails from Robin, he said, I'm so confused with Ymir's bloodline. If all the subjects are people who are descendants of her, doesn't that just mean that all of them are also of the royal bloodline, just in terms of biology? Or is it anyone descendant of someone who consumed the spine becomes a subject, and non-relatives ate some as well? Like maybe someone who's not directly, because remember, Ymir actually wasn't even part of the Eldians. She was from a different tribe they enslaved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's only the actual Eldian blood from the royal that mixed with her blood, but there's something there for sure. He says, or is the anyone descendant of someone who consumed the spine becomes a subject, and non-relatives ate some as well. And the first Eldians were just a tribe of regular humans. Ymir wasn't even Eldian. He talks like that. She was captured by them. So doesn't this
Correct.
confirm that non-Eldians could become subjects, being Titan shifters just as well? We'd love to hear you guys take on this.
Oh, yeah.
If they
I'm
got
with
spinal fluid. But it seems like non-Eldians haven't had the same effect. Like, did anybody else drink the wine and no big deal? Onion Capone, did he drink the wine? Nicola, did he drink the wine?
I don't know.
Yeah, they don't make that clear.
His final theory is that there may be some subtle foreshadowing of how Eren might protect and exclude some people from the rumbling. Bird cages are a big theme throughout the show. The idea that a cage is a double-edged sword. It takes away your freedom,
But also protects you from
keeps you safe. The wall is the best example. Another one is Eren goes out of his way to fight with Mikasa and Armin, resulting in them being put in prison.
Where they're not free, but they're also safe
from
what he's about to do.
From beneath the ground. So basically it's a bunker. It's the safest place during when all that's about to happen. And now Eren's new Titan looks like a birdcage, which haven't officially seen much of this yet.
Oh, good point.
And he's leading the way. It's also huge. Imagine them arriving in Marley, and Cage Eren hovers above Liberia while the Colossals trample everything that's around. Perhaps the same for Hizuru and Onyankopou's people. So, like, basically, he's gonna
do like in that first episode, not first, but in season 1 when he uses his ribcage to protect Armin and Mikasa.
He's gonna gather up all the people.
Whoa. Wow, you guys are blowing my mind right now.
There's a man going around taking names.
So he's going to use his giant ribcage to protect the Eldian people while the rest of the world is trampled.
And maybe Anya Capone, and maybe Azumabitos and the Asians and everyone else. Maybe. I like that idea.
I hope so, because gosh darn it, Eren, you son of a gun.
I'm still not convinced the whole thing goes through.
Yeah, no, same. I've been saying that the whole time. Like, I also don't think it's as simple as, oh, they're going to stop Eren. And they do. And then that's the end. Like, that doesn't seem like that. Yeah. There's obviously more to the story than that as well. I'm not sure how much more. But I know I've already mentioned this as well, that, like, the rest of the world obviously should be terrified and may not even believe that the rumbling is happening until they see it with their own eyes. So maybe they will be sort of unprepared. But it's not like they have no way of defending themselves. They do have some defenses.
Anti-Titan weapons.
They can go in the air.
They do have airships.
I've been saying this for forever, but they can freaking fly. And if they can get Titan guns inside of airships, all of a sudden, like, it is still a war. It's not just a stomp, it's a war. There's at least a fight, like a push back. So I don't know.
Yeah. Eren, say psych right now.
It'd be crazy
I have to say psych?
No, Eren's like, psych, I'm not really going to do the rumbling.
Just kidding, yeah. Yeah,
because I was just thinking, all the colossal titans are huge, but they're also really squishy because they're just muscle. They don't even have skin. Mm-hmm. It'd be really crazy if Eren could just, like, make them all harden. To protect themselves against anything from above.
Or he
and he can harden it.
Puts a wall around the other mainland. It's like, now you guys are in jail.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, so this is something else. We sort of already touched on this, but if you're keeping track of the Titan powers, you've got 5 of them that are on the island. Mm-hmm. Now, it seems... Yeah, okay, so let's go over. So we've got Ja, which isn't Falco, who he's never used it. I don't know. We'll see.
I know. Gabi told him to transform, and he was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, he didn't even know.
They gotta wake that boy up.
Hey, do. We gotta train that kid. So we got Ja and Falco. We've got the female Titan in Annie still. We've got Armor Titan in Reiner. We've got the Colossal Titan in Armin, and we've got the Cart Titan in Pieck. And now, officially, they're all fighting for the same side again. Mm-hmm. So loyalties have changed. Like, the math has changed for everybody in terms of where you're going to go, what are you going to do.
Yeah.
That being the case, so I was trying to decide in this episode, are they trying to fight for... is the goal to establish, basically overthrow the Jeagerist here on the island? Because, like, we've lost hope for the world. Is the goal to then stop Eren somehow?
It's got to
be stop Eren, right? It has to be. They pretty much say as much when they meet with Magath. Because, again, the Marleyans, like, what interest do they have in doing anything? Like, unless they just assume, well, we live on the island now because everyone else is dead, so we may as well fight for a better regime that will, not kill us right away. Yeah. So maybe there's that. But nonetheless, it seems pretty clear, like, okay, we got to find a way to stop Eren, which tells me that they think it's possible, that there's some reason to believe that it's possible. Now, the question is, what is the plan, and what are they going to use the 5 Titan powers that they have? What are they going to use them for? So they got one person who's new, everybody else is pretty experienced, but you got one person who's pretty much brand new with, like, the Titan power. But you have some, they have the Colossal Titan, which is just by itself like an incredible freaking weapon. Like,
yeah,
there's got to be something you could. But again, what is the Colossal Titan against Eren as the founding titan that's gigantic? What is one colossal titan against thousands?
All of those colossal titans, even if he is just a little bit taller.
But so that's what I'm saying. It's like, great, you have the 5 titan powers with you, but what do you plan to do with them? I'm imagining Historia has to be part of this.
Yeah.
There's got to be some thing.
Somehow.
I don't know. I can't sort it out yet. It's just not clear to me.
Yeah. They're gonna try to stop Eren. I'm almost positive that it's leaning this way. I mean, anything could happen because Isayama was crazy, but to me it's more leaning like Eren's becoming the villain, uniting everybody, so they can be justified in destroying all the Titan powers altogether. Right now, everyone wants him, but they're not gonna want him if he's gonna kill everybody. And so they're like, okay, we'll give him up. We'll give up all our guns if you just don't murder us all, right? So so they're all basically like, okay, we've got to stop Eren, and the only reason Armin and Mikasa would be on board with that is if Eren was like, I freaking hate you. If Eren was like, screw you guys, I'm going to do the bad thing you don't want me to do. And I think that's part of the reason why he did what he did, is so that, he's going to do the Batman. He's going to become the villain. So everyone will team up on him. He'll lay his life down ultimately to stop the oppression of everybody. Maybe not. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe he is going to rescue some of the Eldians, and then something else is going to happen. But I don't see this. I just don't see it playing all the way out yet to where literal billions of people are killed. Maybe we're wrong.
Got another email?
Yeah. Patrick says, "Hey, Pat. Let's see. Just wanted to share some information regarding the 3 walls. Ymir, the founder, did not form the 3 walls. Near the end of the Great Titan War, from which we currently believe was Titan Shifter versus Titan Shifter." For that reason, we do not know other than the possibility of an Eldian having a relationship with someone from another nation, such as Marley, and thus creating a child without Eldian loyalty and the ability to inherit Titan abilities.
You think they intermarried all the way up until like a certain point, and then that's what creates the split off? Is like,
well, they were saying things like the Eldians were forcing the nations to breed with them.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah,
King Fritz. Not the original King Fritz, but the later ancestor, had the power of the founding and then went to Paradise Island, which was off the main continent. He used the founding Titan's abilities to create the walls, renounce the war, and erase the memories of the Eldians on the island,
right? Which
leads us to believe there's a limited range of the founder's abilities, possibly.
Yes. Okay, so yeah.
Although Eren was able to talk to Eldians all over the planet.
Yeah. So the Ymir didn't. You're right. Ymir did form the walls because she's the one who crafts the Titans over the paths. But yes, the founder the founder's the one with the will. The founder's the one who's like, I'm going to make these walls. But she crafts like the millions of Titans. Now, now that actually brings up another question, which I don't know why I haven't thought of this before. But if it has been done once, where somebody just spawned millions of Titans, could it be done again? Like you seem like I've been wondering this the whole time. Like, if it was been done once where you can just grant a Titan shifting power somehow, could it not be done again? All these things were done at some point in the past.
I feel like anything's up for grabs when one of the founders' powers is that they can change the bodies of anyone genetically related to Ymir.
Mighty Morphin Power Titan.
Why not give them another Titan power? And also, why not make them back into humans?
Why not make more Eldians? More Ackermans. Like, make more superhumans who can fight.
I'm wondering if like the Azumobitos have somehow been hiding a bunch of Ackermans secretly, and there's going to be like an army of Ackermans and Azumobitos that are going to like save the day somehow. That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool. But
the Azumobitos have a flying machine.
So far,
they do, and also they mentioned, I think, if I'm not crazy, that the Asians and the Ackermans had immunities. It was both of them had special powers of some kind.
The Asians are not
Eldian at all.
They're not.
Correct.
But we haven't seen any Ackermans outside of the walls. Only Ackermans we've seen were part of
Kenny
the
mentioned that he couldn't find any more besides the ones
inside
he found
the walls.
Inside the walls, but that doesn't necessarily mean there aren't any outside the walls.
It's true. We've never seen any, and no one's ever heard of them. Apparently. Yeah. So
it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Also, I think my only prediction was that I think Magath and Levi and Hange's plan is to separate Zeke and
that's right.
Eren from each other. The only way that Levi can kill Zeke is to separate him from Eren. So I'm sure their plan will involve somehow separating them from each other.
Yes.
What is Eren?
Yeah. Now
he's a giant. He's Ragnarok now.
What is an Eren?
I do think they're going to have some part of revolution inside the walls, which is why Keith Sadie's is there, which is why Hitch is still there, which is why maybe that person who was watching them out the window is like waiting for that opportunity, that moment. I don't know why Floch has to be alive for that part. But
so he can see all of his plans fall apart.
So he can get his come up.
I would say, as a writer, that Isayama would be the only reason that I could see him leaving him alive at this point, is to see all of his dreams burst into flames and then die.
I don't think Floch is doing Eren's will.
No,
it just doesn't seem like right to me. Like,
you leave that guy in charge.
Even if Eren is like as bad as it seems, I just don't see it being the case. I feel like Floch has already. Like, when he rescues Erwin, he already kind of shows himself to be the kind of person that, like, just...
doesn't get
this. I didn't have a plan for this. This is just the situation I was in. I'm just going to take advantage of the situation I'm in here.
Yeah. I don't know. The theory that I had about Eren wanting everybody to unite against him is also giving credence to the fact that he left Reiner alive when he could have clearly killed Reiner. Right. So how much has he seen in the future?
Yeah, that's right. And that's the next question. Like, how much has he seen? Okay. Anything else? We good?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there for this week. We will be back next week, and we will see you guys here at the same Titan place.
Cheers.
At the same Titan time. We'll see you then.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.